How will Peter Parker deal with an otherworldly threat that he can't even get his hands on? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 46 and find out together, shall we? Well, alrighty then, stop me if you've ever heard this one before. The local university is having a showcase of a brand new amazing power source that is cleaner and more reliable than nuclear. Why, it almost sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Naturally, prospects this good attract supervillains, in this case the perennial C-listers of the Lethal Legion. Made up of the likes of characters you've probably forgotten like Count Nefario, the Grey Gargoyle, and Whirlwind. Why, they even make a joke within the book itself that the people being terrorized by the Legion had to Google them. Spider-Man makes the scene and gets ready to duke it out with the bad guys, but he's got problems. He's moving a lot slower than he ever has before. Normally, Spider-Man should be able to mop the floor with bad guys like this, but his mind just isn't in it right now. He's still horrified and haunted by what happened with the Sin Eater in Overdrive in the previous issue. And when I say haunted, I really truly do mean haunted in a literal and not metaphorical sense. The Sin Eater is following Spider-Man around everywhere he goes, which, as you might have guessed, makes fighting crime and saving lives especially difficult when Spider-Man has to stop every couple minutes to make sure the Sin Eater doesn't kill someone. In fact, as we discover in this issue, the Sin Eater threat is actually 100 times worse than anyone could have imagined. You see, when Stanley Carter shoots the villains with his shotgun, he's not just killing them, he's not just eating their sins, he's also eating their superpowers, meaning for every villain he takes down, the more powerful he becomes. In fact, in a very macabre moment, Sin Eater manages to gun down the Grey Gargoyle, steals his power of turning everything he touches to stone, and does so to make Spider-Man watch as he kills the rest of the Lethal Legion. That, on its face, is pretty bad, but it's the next thing that really rubs salt into poor Spider-Man's wounds. You see, all the people that the Legion had taken hostage actually end up applauding the Sin Eater, and videos of his action go viral all over the world. It's your classic Boondock Saints kind of setup. Oh, finally, you know, a costumed vigilante who isn't shackled by morals, who's not afraid to do what needs to be done. In fact, as one edgy teen says, this guy's better than the Punisher, because the Punisher is human, but this guy's a ghost. Believe it or not, the story gets even crazier after that. You see, Nora Winters, working for her TMZ-style news company, talks to the EMT that responded to the murders. This poor schmuck cleaned up the bodies only to get the worst fright of his life when, get this, the Lethal Legion, even though they'd been shot multiple times, don't stay dead.
Got better.
Yeah, that's right, they died brutally only to come back to life a few moments later completely sin-free, and Spider-Man and everyone else in New York has no idea what the hell to make of it. Nora smells a big news story and as such decides to check up on the rest of the Sin Eater's victims over at Ravencroft Asylum, where she discovers, yeah, they continue to be model prisoners. She opts to interview each of them individually and hope to find some sort of hole in this crazy story, but speaking of crazy, Nora actually runs into a major roadblock in the form of the brand new Ravencroft administrator, get this, Norman frickin' Osborn.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, actually, it turns out I did miss something. At the end of that Ravencroft mini-series, Norman got himself declared sane, and then the mayor of New York, Kingpin Wilson Fisk, actually put him in charge of the hospital. And why, yes, they even make a joke about inmates running the asylum. Norman, if nothing else, is taking his job running this place very seriously, and as such wants to make sure Nora doesn't write anything too inflammatory about Ravencroft. Man, Norman Osborn goes through a lot of changes, so now he's basically the Amadeus Arkham of Ravencroft. Okay. Nora does get the chance to sit down with Count Nefario, and again, he is very apologetic for all the crimes he committed. That's not to say he doesn't feel he shouldn't be punished, quite the opposite. He says he still has perfectly clear memory of all the horrible crimes he's committed and all the people he's murdered, and the thought of that absolutely tortures him every minute of every day. So even though his sins are gone, he still knows no peace. In fact, he's probably worse off now than he started, and maybe that was the Sin Eater's plan all along. Why, Spider-Man even draws a thematic connection to Stanley Carter during his last days and how all of these new supervillains are feeling now. Speaking of supervillains, they didn't all end up like Nefario. Overdrive was actually Sin Eater's first victim, and even though he briefly came back to life and scared the ever-loving crap out of poor Carly Cooper, he ended up going back into intensive care. Which perhaps means whatever Stanley Carter is doing, Overdrive is the key to undoing it, but Spider-Man better act quick because it seems as though the Sin Eater has already picked his next victim. And that would be Nora Winters, who Sin Eater manages to catch in her car coming out of the asylum as the comic comes to a close. And so that was The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 46, and again, I continue to enjoy what Nick Spencer is doing here. It's fun to give Spider-Man a problem that he just can't punch away. In fact, it's a problem that actually comes with quite a lot of moral complexity. Yes, the Sin Eater is killing people, but they're not being dead. Obviously, he's working for Kindred and some bigger, more evil goal, but Spider-Man can't exactly get the public on his side right now. All of this also ties into a much bigger theme that is oh so very Spider-Man: sins and regret and redemption and all that good stuff. With Nora re-entering the comic too, we also have yet another possible Kindred candidate. After all, she has a pretty murky past, and perhaps sending Sin Eater after her now is actually kind of a red herring to cover her own trail. Just an idea. Overall, I'd feel comfortable giving this one an 8 out of 10. This brand new arc is really starting to heat up, and I'm interested to see where it's going to go from here.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cave Jewel, and if you're seeing me right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, which I am very appreciative of. It really helps drive engagement and retention and all that other good YouTube stuff. So does liking and commenting. Wink wink. If you like my content too, you should check out my Patreon page. We just redid all the tiers, so there's a ton of great rewards. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and well, it would just really help me out. It's never expected, but always appreciated. So until next time everyone, I've been Cape Joel, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.